And here we go again. I'll tell you what, these markets, to say they're a wild ride all through April and starting off in May, that's exactly what it has been. You go back and you look at last Friday, absolutely incredible, right? Well, yesterday, equally as incredible. Actually, the move that we had late in the day, in the final hour, we ran 500 points in the final hour in the Dow to actually finish in the positive by 84 points. NASDAQ, similar story. We had to run 300 points in the final hour. We still finished up the day up 200 points. Gives you an idea of just the powerful moves, the velocity that we've been talking about. A lot of the time, the velocity we've been talking about, though, has been within volatility, or it might be in oil, or it might be in some other part of the market. But absolutely incredible day yesterday. I really can't say enough about what we were witnessing and how incredible that move was. How about nearly 100-point move in the S&P to close up 23 points? Just shows you just how wild this ride really is, has been, and continues to be. So as we get into today, let's look back to yesterday a little bit further. You had the Bitcoin trading just underneath 39,000. We had the volatility index anywhere between 3175 all the way up towards almost 37. Finished the day because of that big run late in the day. We still finished just underneath that 33 level for the volatility index, still indicating about a little bit more than a 2% move each and every day for the S&P. We also had crude. Crude was in a pretty wide range yesterday, 100 all the way up to 105. That was pretty impressive. And the 10-year, everybody was talking about it. We hit that 3% level. That's a level we hadn't actually reached in quite a few years. And here we are once again. We've been talking about bumping up against it. Yesterday, we actually got up into it. So volume over 40 million, 40.6 million yesterday. Pretty strong day. What was really rocking? Well, communications was up almost 2.5% yesterday. Technology up more than 1.5%. Energy up almost 1.5%. Staples, not so much. That safety trade, as a lot of people like to say, I've never subscribed to the idea of I'm going to put somewhere that I think is safe money or a safety trade or defensive. I think a lot of the time, I think that gets overblown. There are times where each individual sector has its moments, and I don't know that you can ever hide anywhere in this market. Well, Staples yesterday down a little over 1%. So that was something that we were definitely keeping an eye on. So Align, that was strong yesterday. CarMax was strong yesterday. Occidental, throw in Chevron with the price of crude starting to move to the upside. All of those various names in the high end of the big market cap really did have a turn and burn sort of a mentality yesterday. Apple and Facebook and Google and Amazon and Netflix, all of them, very, very powerful move to the upside. You also had Moderna having a little bit of a bounce. That's a name that's been absolutely crushed of late, but having a pretty decent bounce, at least yesterday. DocuSign was strong. Lucid, PayPal, you know the idea. A lot of those semiconductors. Throw in Intel, having a really, really great day. Global payments, not so much. They had a little bit of a struggle. Moody's, we talked about yesterday morning. It stayed in the red. That was not doing too well. Vertex and Pepsi, Coke, after this big run, and you look at something like Coke. Now, this is a name that I've owned for a long time, along with Pepsi, many, many years. But I will tell you this, they have been on a run, specifically Coke of late, where you do have to expect some sort of a pullback, only because you look at a lot of different variables in the stretch we talk about in the PEs and all those kinds of things. They've been on a great run. Makes a little bit of sense that you're going to get some kind of a pullback there. So before we jump into today, I do have to tell you something. Ryan Mastro and myself, tomorrow, we will be talking about a lot of the things that we see in unusual option activity. It's going to be Wednesday. It's going to be right at the market close, unusual option activity. And we're going to be doing everything we can to explain how we actually select a lot of these, the whole process that we go through, and hopefully you get an opportunity to join us. It's a free webinar tomorrow. That's right at the market close. Should be a lot of fun. Ryan Mastro is absolutely brilliant kid. He's been around the options world almost as long as I have, and it's been a great run, and he's a great partner, and we're really happy and privileged to have him as part of this Market Rebellion team. So check that out. It's free, and you can click on various links to be able to get it. And even if you can't sit down and watch it at that time, if you click on the link, they will send you a copy of what we have talked about yesterday. So that's something I think you really want to look into. As we move into today, it's almost as if the markets are just taking a big, deep breath and saying, you know what, we're somewhere. We're in this crazy area. Yes, we're on this pathway that's been down, but that turnaround yesterday, a lot of people saying, well, maybe that was it. Not so sure whether or not that's right or not, but I will tell you, We were up early in the markets, both the NASDAQ and the Dow. Then we kind of got back towards flat in that first half hour or so. Then we started to slip a little bit, and then we moved right back up towards that flat line. Last I looked before we came on here, and it's been shifting around. We were up about 20 points on the Dow, fairly flat on the NASDAQ, but it's been moving around, and it's not huge moves, though. Not much more than about 50 or 60 points up or down for the Dow, and even a little bit tighter, actually, for the NASDAQ. So something to keep an eye on. Speaking of keeping an eye on, crude hanging around that 104, 105 range. It got underneath 104, but it started to push back up once again. 10-year closer to about a 295. You got Bitcoin back down towards that 38,000. Not a big move today, but down near that 38,000 level after a little pop yesterday. Volatility index, it's hanging around that 31, 32, but as we sort of get deeper into the day, if we kind of continue in this tighter range, might start to see that volatility, at least for today, start to pull back. Obviously, tomorrow will be a whole new story. Financials have had a nice big push as we've been getting into the today. They started off the day up about 0.5%. Last I looked, they were up close to 1%. Energy was up over 1% very early, 1.5%, and is still moving towards the upside. Consumer discretion, that's getting a little bit of pressure, and technology just kind of floating around a little bit in negative territory. Nothing big, though, nothing we want to really over talk, because not doing a whole heck of a lot. Clorox had their earnings last night. They talked about margin controls, talked about lowering some of the guidance. Regardless of that, Clorox starting off the day pretty strong. Last night, it didn't look as well as good as it looks this morning. But this morning, seeing a nice, big, powerful move to the upside along with Western Digital. Throw in Devon, throw in BP after their big numbers. That stock actually had a nice move, about 6% to the upside today. Some of those Chinese names as well, NetEase and Baidu sort of contributing along with Biogen. Throw in Fiserv, you got that. But on the negative side, so we got a little bit of a push and pull. You're looking at Rockwell pulling a little bit to the downside. Expedia that had earnings last night. Tyson, Hilton. I look at DocuSign as well. That seems to be on either side each and every day, kind of shifting around back and forward. And I'll tell you what, bookings.com is another one of those names, a little under pressure, along with Datadog, along with Nike. Nike underneath a little bit of pressure today, a little bit more pressure than maybe expected as we get into today. Now, two unusuals and we're out of here. I might be on the overtime tonight. We'll see. They've been reaching out. We'll figure that out as we get through deeper into the day. So at the two unusual I got right now, Energy Transfer. Now, this is a name we've talked about on many times. It has worked most of the time. We'll see if it actually works this time. It had not worked last time. However, sizable trade, stock trading right around 11.5. What were they buying? The May 13th, 11.5 calls, right on top of where it is right now. 20,000 of those calls going for about 31 cents. That was pretty interesting. Plus, buying a little bit of time. It looks like they're rolling out of the May 6th expiring calls and moving out another week, going to those May 13th expiring calls. So buying an extra week is what I'm looking at right there. On top of that, how about this XLP? Now, we were just talking about staples. Is it defensive? Yes, it's qualified as defensive, but I think there are times where those make a lot of sense, other times where they really don't. You're looking at names like Procter, you're looking at Coke, you're looking at Pepsi, Walmart, those kind of names, Costco. So what are we seeing in there today? Well, with the stock trading around 76.50, now that's been shifting around. It's an ETF, I understand. 76.50, a buyer of 55,000 of the June 74 puts. So just out of the money puts, 55,000 of those for $1.37. On top of that, there's a put spread being bought way out into September. So it's pretty interesting to see this. First of all, going out to June, not May, going out to June. And then secondly, going out to September and buying a huge put spread, 44,000 times the 73.66 put spread as well. So it's not just the one buyer of just those single puts, 55,000 of them, but also seeing that put spread. Obviously, we'll be keeping a very close eye on a lot of these staples to see, have they kind of peaked out for now? Are the rest of the market going to start to pick up a little bit? And are these staples going to start to pull back a little bit? Something that we've been looking at for a little while now. I see a lot of people that have been jumping into those of late. I don't know whether or not that's been the greatest move in the world either, because, as things unfold, there is a lot to be playing out here. And if there are some high PEs, those names are going to fall, you would think. Maybe that's the thinking behind this put buying that we're seeing, along with that big put spread out in September. Folks, have a great day of trading. If you don't understand the derivatives markets, educate yourself. We've got a free webinar tomorrow. But on top of that, you need to get educated, whether it's online, whether it's with us at Market Rebellion, but you've got to be able to figure out a lot about what's going on. I talked about some of the volumes. Volumes are strong, continue to be strong. April was a little bit weaker, and still those numbers were absolutely extraordinary. So understanding the derivatives markets will be a very, very big piece of the puzzle, I think, as you navigate these markets. I'm Pete Najarian. Have a great day of trading.